Hey, Mr. Goggins? Or David Goggins? Do you like David Goggins?
Yeah,
or?
I like David Goggins. I
David.
hate Dave. Dave is horrible because it's like a weakened name. So
Yeah.
David is perfect. Yeah.
David. So David Goggins, retired Navy SEAL. So I want to tell you first off, it's an honor to be next to you. Like, and it's weird because I just met you like a month ago through social media.
Right.
And it's because a buddy of mine, he told me, you need David Goggins for Driven. For Driven. And then and then the first interview I hear from you is you're saying you got to be driven. Like you talk about being driven.
Right.
And then I look you up, and then I see you like run those runs that you do, and you're like inspiring and pumping people up and all that stuff. So I saw it, and I just started following you. And then one thing that stuck out right away is how real you are.
Right.
Like you have like 1.8 million followers, and you get over 1 million views. So that means that almost everybody that follows you is looking at your stuff.
Right.
And then I read your whole story, I researched and everything, and I really related to how I started. Because when I started in school, I was bullied my whole elementary school. I was my first language was Spanish because my parents were Mexican.
Right.
But even though I was born here, I learned Spanish, my first language, and I didn't understand anything about English except the bad words, the cussing that I would see in the cartoons.
Right.
So they sent me to school. I took the bus, an hour away from where I lived. And I grew up in the ghetto, obviously, with a lot of Hispanics. But then I get to the school, and it's all white people.
Yep.
I was like, there were five, maybe a few black, a few Mexicans or Hispanics, and maybe one Asian.
Right.
And I was one of those like 5 or 6.
Right.
And then I saw these white people, and I was like, who are they? I've never seen them before, only on TV.
Right.
And then, but I was a kid, and then you can't even to not make it so long. Like they called me everything from wetback to go back to Mexico to beaner, and I just grew up elementary, middle school. I had a really bad accent. I couldn't land the girl if my life depended on it, and I was just humiliated the whole time, and many other things that happened to me. So when I read about your inside the videos, how your childhood was, I related so much, and then I just started basically researching everything about you and watching all your videos. And now when I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym, I don't feel good. Kind of watch one of your clips, and I'm like, dude, I got to be driven. But can you share a little bit about like how you got started and how in the beginning it wasn't always, I mean, you weren't born rich.
No.
and you had tough times, but what made you not quit? Like anybody would have quit.
Well, what's funny is that I kind of was born on the richer side. Mm-hmm. My dad was a pimp. He owned skating rinks. He owned bars, but he was also a very abusive man. So he had a lot of money. A lot of it was, I don't know if it was legal money, but he had a lot of money. He had Rolls Royces, Jaguars, all that stuff. So I grew up with an alcoholic father. So whenever he would get upset, he would put it out on my mom and myself. So we got beat a lot, daily. So growing up, I would get beat for anything. So I didn't know the difference between right and wrong. I was kind of a very confused kid. Mm-hmm. And I also grew up with a learning disability. I don't know if I so much had a learning disability versus a big time of like fear.
Yeah.
And so I had social anxiety. I was all messed up. I had the capacity to learn, but as a young kid, when you're getting beat like that for no reason, I believe that your mind doesn't work properly. I'm not, I don't know. That's just what I think. So I did that from the time I was born, the time I was 8 years old, just getting beat for no reason. So my mom finally got the courage to leave my father around 1983. We went to a small town in Brazil, Indiana. In Brazil, Indiana, that's where I really faced hardcore racism. And what's funny about it, how old are you?
36.
You're 36. I'm 44. And the funny thing about it is there were a lot of good people in that small town in Brazil, Indiana. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing about it, every one of them will tell you today that none of them called me a nigger. There was about 5 to 10 black families out of 8,000 people, all white, which is fine. It's cool. No big deal. The Klan marched in our 4th of July parade in 1995, but I was never called nigger.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how, as time goes on and these kids grow up, how much they want to forget what really happened and tell you what, that it didn't exist. So from the time I was 8 until I graduated high school, pretty much not everyone called me nigger, but I heard it more often, than not. On my first car, I got a brand new, well, not brand new, it was a Citation. Mm-hmm. And they spray painted, "Nigger, we're going to kill you" on that car. So imagine, you come out of school, you're a sophomore in high school, you come out and you see your car located in the back of the parking lot and you see some white stuff on it. You can't read it because you're too far away. As you get closer, you see, "Nigger, we're going to kill you." In my Spanish notebook, "Nigger, we're going to kill you." And the best advice I ever got was from my principal, who's obviously white. He said, I couldn't spell. So I had a 4th grade reading level in high school. Yeah. So basically here I'm in high school and they spelled nigger Niger. I didn't know. I just thought it spelled nigger. They missed a G. So he said, "These kids are ignorant." It's the best advice I got. My mom was working 3 jobs. She was trying to go to school, working 3 jobs. So she was never home. So I missed a lot of school. So when you're the dumbest kid in school, at least you think this, when you're one of the only handful of black kids in school, you start to hide. So I hid at home, I hid away from people, I hid everywhere. But I had 2 personalities. I had one personality that was this big thuggish type of guy who walked around, pants sagging, hat kicked back. I was a thug. Yeah. But the real me was a big punk because I was afraid of my own shadow because my dad took my soul as a young kid. And then when I moved from Buffalo to Brazil, the children took my soul and I had no one to cry to, which kind of helped me out. My mom was gone, life was hard, and I kind of raised myself. So I had to figure out a way out. And my way out was the military. So I actually tried to go in the military. I thought, to get in the military, you had to do push-ups and sit-ups. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know you had to read and write. Or hell. Right. So I take this this examination, and I failed it huge. I got one of the lowest scores possible on it. Took it again 30 days later, failed again. And then this is when I had to really buckle down. So I learned pretty much all of high school in 6 months. Got a tutor. We can only afford $15 a month. My fault, a week. So I saw her 4 hours a week or 4 hours a month, and learned all of high school in that period. And from there, the story gets better. But that's kind of how I started off.
It's crazy because the same thing kind of happened to me. Like I told you, in school. I couldn't cry. Mm-hmm. So I think that turned me into a monster. It gave me so much courage that I just kept going on and fighting because nobody was there to save me. Right. Hispanic kids are born overprotected by their parents, and when I got there I was afraid, but it helped. I just had no choice but to fight for it. Right. Now after high school I was so broken that I wanted to fix everything that was wrong with me. Right. And I just worked if you see me now, but I used to be so skinny, like a Victoria's Secret model. Skinny. That's not good for a guy. No. 120. I weighed 120. I look super skinny, and pimple marks. I always get a little bit blush. I blush a little bit, but imagine blush with pimple marks and so skinny. And then I had a mole that I hated here, right, that I took off. And so I started fixing on all my insecurities, right, and I corrected them. Is once you got out of high school, what moment in life was it when you just said, fuck with this? I'm gonna work on. Did you work on all your weaknesses?
Oh,
yes. You changed yourself, right? Because I saw the picture before.
I was fat.
Before, yeah.
Right.
And now you look so healthy, so fit. You look like a perfect human being.
Well, what happened was, so when I graduated high school, I finally graduated. I finally passed the military entrance exam, the ASVAB. Yeah. I wanted to be an Air Force pararescueman, and I won't get deep into that, but I failed miserably at that. Mm-hmm. So I went from 175 pounds out of high school to 297 pounds within a 4-year period. So basically, I'm about 22 years old now. maybe about 22 years old. I'm 297 pounds. I'm out of the Air Force, and my job is I'm spraying for cockroaches at a company called Ecolab. So I'm making $1,000 a month, and my job is from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning to go around and spray for cockroaches. So every night for 6 months, I'm doing this job. So I finally get home one night, and trust me, it wasn't like overnight this happened. You're haunted by the mere fact that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Every fucking day. And people who don't think that, you're fucking lying to yourself. You are fucking lying. So every day of my life, I'm haunted by my father, the kids that bullied me, my own insecurities. All these things were just roosting in the back of my head. So I'd be driving home at like 7 o'clock in the morning from an all-night shift, and all alone in my truck, and I'd be thinking, what the fuck, man? My life is hell. So one day I came home, and I always come home and watch TV, and this show was on with like Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of the water. Terrified of the fucking water. I sink like a rock. So I'm sitting there watching these guys going through Navy SEAL training, and I'm like, and I saw what I believed how a man should feel. Very, have pride and dignity himself.
Yeah.
It's like I gotta change myself. So literally, I sat down on the couch and watching these guys going through SEAL training, and I went through my own mental checklist of how fucked up I am and how many things I would have to change just to get an opportunity to try out for something like that. Have to get smarter, have to get fit, have to lose weight, have to do all these things, start running, swimming, everything. So I finally get to a point where I get the courage to go to a recruiter and say, hey, I want to go try to do this. But when you're 297 pounds and you're going to go try to be one of the fittest people in the world, you get laughed at. So I got laughed at a lot. But in this process was actually hardening my mind. All the laughter, because the laughter used to make me cower. Mm-hmm. Now I realize that I can no longer hide from my insecurities, hide from all these fears. I had to start wearing them.
Yeah.
I had to start talking about them. I had to start being vulnerable because I was always afraid of them. So here I am now. I'm facing them. I finally find a recruiter that says, hey, we'll take you in. And he says, you have less than 3 months to lose 106 pounds. I'm like, that's fucking impossible. So that was my mindset. But I was like, hey, I can't have that kind of mindset. So I went to the dungeon and started using all my insecurities as strength. Instead of looking at being bullied and my dad messing me up and all that stuff like that, I looked at it as, who could have survived all this and still be here with the opportunity to go into Navy SEAL training? And so I started using all these negative things and started flipping everything on top of his head. Instead of saying, woe is me, kicking rocks, head down in the dirt, I started saying, there's not a motherfucker on the planet who would have this opportunity coming from where I came from. They would be a statistic.
Yeah.
So I started looking at it as power versus like big time defeat. And slowly but surely, every day, I started changing the voice in my head, because the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself.
Yeah.
So I slowly started changing that internal dialogue in my head. And there wasn't no fucking like teacher. There was no shrink. There was no mom saying, hey, David, you can do it. No, it was fucking me. And that was where the power came from. The power came from, no one's helping me. No one's coming back to fucking save me. No one's coming back to pull me to the finish line. This is on you. So I saw a lot of power in the fact that if I change this around, I did this. I changed this around.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started happening.
Was that your defining moment?
It was.
Like that part right there where you had to lose all that weight.
That part was my defining moment, but the big time defining moment. So I had about two of them. The second one was in my third Navy SEAL Hell Week. So I'm the only person in the history of Navy SEAL training to go through 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year.
Can you explain a little bit what Hell Week is? Because I heard it on your audiobook a lot.
Yeah,
and it just sounds like a painful moment that very few people are able to handle it.
It is a very long, painful moment. So I don't know what week it is, but for me, it was my 3rd week. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's your 3rd, 4th, or 5th week in Navy SEAL training. Navy SEAL training is 6 months long. And this is like the biggest crucible in Navy SEAL. It probably in all of special forces, special ops. It's 130 hours of continuous training. And you might get 2 hours of sleep. And the whole idea is you start on Sunday and you end on Friday. You might get 2 hours of sleep. And the whole idea of this training is to get a man and break him down to nothing. And that's where you see what a man's made of. So to make it through one, most people say, I'm never going back through again. So I was fortunate. God blessed me. So I started looking at these failures as blessings. Because with all these failures and all these bullies and all these being abused and my learning disabilities and stuttering and everything I had in my life, they are really gifts.
Yeah.
They're fucking gifts. And it's not some psychological babble bullshit that I'm using to say, oh no, my life wasn't that bad. No, my life fucking sucked. But they truly were gifts because all these different trials and tribulations led my mind to where it's at now. So Hell Week, once again, 130 hours. You get 2 hours of sleep maybe, and they beat the shit out of you. Beating like push-ups, sit-ups. And it's near the Pacific Ocean. So you're out in the Pacific Ocean, back in, and that water's fucking freezing. And so you see these men, these great men that I watched on TV, I'm now with them. And for the longest time, I put people who had better childhoods, better grades, better this, better that, I put them all above me. But now I'm on the same playing field as them. So when you get on the same playing field as these men who you think are better than you look at them eye to eye, and you realize that they're not. So once again, I'm starting to do all this live autopsy shit, like saying, God, man, you were mind fucking yourself your whole life, thinking that this person came from a nicer house, better education, better mom, better dad, and they're better than you. It's not the case. You have this in you. You may have to dig a little deeper to find it. You know, their family may have started them off a lot better than you, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. So I started really realizing how powerful the mind was in that third Hell Week.
Yeah. When you talk about abuse, was that physical abuse?
Yes.
From your father, right?
Big time physical
like
abuse.
how was that? Do you think that's probably the worst pain you suffered, or would it be like more in the later time?
You know what? That pain I was able to bury.
Yeah.
But I realized that pain was probably the worst pain I suffered because it came alive. So my soon-to-be stepdad got murdered. So I was 12 years old, 12 or 13. He got murdered before the wedding. And then what happened was the year before my stepdad got murdered, this is when I realized that I was burying everything. I was just a tough kid, walking around, nothing ever hurt me. I'll never forget, I was in, I believe, 7th grade, and we had this bus route. And we picked up elementary, and we picked up junior high kids. So this one kid, I forget his name, let's say his name was Timmy, he was on our bus route. It was right before school, right before Christmas break. And he missed the bus. So we had about 15, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 buses that were lined up outside the school. It was a snowy day outside, and all this stuff was going on. So anyway, the buses were lined up, and there's a sign that tells all the buses to pull forward, open the doors at the same time. I see the kid pull up, and it's probably like maybe 15 feet away from our bus. The kid pulls up that missed the bus. He pulls up with his mom. He runs over. His mom yells back at him. I'm in the very back seat of the bus. There's actually a point to the story.
Yeah.
So I'm looking over at him. He gets out. I'm in the back seat of the bus. His mom calls him back to the car. He forgot something. He forgot some cookies because he was to give them to the to the bus driver.
Yeah.
So he goes back, gets the cookies. I look forward. The buses move forward. I look over 1 second later, and this lady's pulling her hair out of her head. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. I'm like, what? I'm not putting two to two together. It just happened in a split second. And she's looking down under my tire where I'm sitting. And I look at my window and I see these little spots on the window. And she's looking down. I let down the window and I look down and this little kid's head is smushed. the bus ran over this kid's head. Don't know how it happened. Killed him, obviously. And I went home that night, and I slept on the floor for about, 3 to 6 months. It was a long period of time. I couldn't sleep in the bed. And everything I had ever buried from my whole life came alive. And that was a very, 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 very horrible time for me, because my childhood, my beatings, my stuttering, all the things I buried, this incident brought them to life, and they roosted in my head for a lot of years. So the fear was real, the pain was real, the suffering was real, the insecurities were very real. It just came alive. So
this came back?
Oh, everything came back.
And how old were you at the moment?
I believe I was in 7th grade. So what, 12?
And this was this was a school bus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those yellow ones?
Yep. The yellow school bus.
Wow. David, 5 years ago, where were you 5 years ago? Were you were a different David, I would imagine, right?
Yes, 5 years ago I was just retiring. I was getting ready to retire from the military.
Were you already on your way up? Were you building already, like were you already fit, building your business, or how has, because I know I met you like a month ago through Instagram, I told you. Mm-hmm. But you seem like a really well-rounded guy. Your head is so powerful, your mind, you're super fit, you're super powerful. I know you have this business that you're growing really fast.
Right.
How long has this taken to like go from where you were to like where you are now?
Funny. I got out of the military in November 2015. I retired. I hadn't even started social media, had I? Hadn't started social media at all. I think I've been on social media for 2.5 years. 2.5 years I've been on social media, 1.8, almost 1.9 million followers. And basically, it didn't happen overnight, but what really grew my business was the fact that I'm not trying, this is going to sound really fucked up to all you business people out there. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to help people.
Yeah. And
at the core of my soul, when I retired from the military with about $50,000 a year is what I'll probably make. For me, for a guy that grew up with nothing, I lived in a $7 a month place growing up for a long period of time. And then we moved to a $236 a month place. So basically, you give me $50,000, I'm rich.
Yeah.
So my mindset was about helping people. And when people truly believe in your message and believe in who you are, and they see that you're being honest and truly honest for the fact that, hey, I just want to see you fucking be better. I don't want nothing. Maybe a thank you when you're older and you're walking around with your fucking kids and your family. If you have a real, authentic, true message about people, and people see that you're not trying to sell out and not trying to sell them things, because I knew how I felt growing up, and I don't want anybody to feel that way. So when I give back, it's not about giving back to like say, oh, well, hopefully down the line, I can sell them something.
Yeah.
My message is truly authentic to how I came up, and people feel that. Therefore, the business is about them.
Yeah.
And I have all these lessons learned through a life that God blessed me with, as far as like, look, I didn't survive this life. I thrived in hell.
Yeah.
And through that, I was like a guy sitting back. I was like just writing all this shit down. I became a poet in hell, just sitting there. As hell was all around me, I was all calm, just taking it all in. Oh, I gotta tell people this. I gotta tell people that. Oh, I learned this. I learned that. While most people run from it, I was learning from it. And now I'm just giving all this knowledge to people for free.
Yeah.
So in return, people are growing. People like the message. And when you have a good message, you grow a business.
And I know you don't, your Instagram, your social media, you don't spend any money on it, right? Everything's...
I've never spent money on anything. No advertising. No, we've sold 1.2 or 3 million copies of my book in 7-8 months.
Yeah.
Didn't advertise, didn't spend any money for that. As far as like, hey, buy my book. None of that.
Yeah.
It's all been word of mouth. It's all been about just an honest, pure message. And people are advertising for me.
Yeah.
So this book and what I've done is changing people's lives. So people are excited about that. my God, this book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins has changed my fucking life. So guess what they do? They share it with their friends.
Yeah.
You have a good, honest product, people can see through bullshit. You have a good, honest product where you have come out in the world and said, look, I'm known as the world's toughest man, but this is the fucking truth about me. People can relate to that. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm not better than you. Matter of fact, I was way below you. People relate to that. People love that. And then people say, hey, man, I can also do it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so excited to have you at Driven, because it's an entrepreneurship event. But most people fail in business because of the mindset. Like when things get hard, tough, like when you're not sure if you could pay your bills next week because you put a lot on the line, and you might go out of business. You might not be able to pay your employees. And I've dealt with, I say all the time that I've probably dealt with I battled 10 heart attacks because it was just really, really painful because I didn't know what to tell my wife or with a daughter on the way. Like, hey, I think this is it.
Right.
I think I reached my limit. And most people, and times when I couldn't even swallow my food because I all the stress that I had accumulated. And it's the mindset. And like when your message that you deliver, I think that's going to help a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And I know that just the way you focus on giving and helping people, that just the money comes flying your way when you focus on helping people first. And I noticed that because I was listening to, I think, an interview you did with Rogan, and you were talking about your business, how you just want to help. Like there's no like, is that your like, why do you want to help so many people? What would you say your drive is?
You know what my drive is? It's a great question. I have a great answer for you. You were bullied.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many nights you spent by yourself in your fucking head thinking about what kind of piece of shit you were?
Yeah.
And how miserable that fucking was?
Yeah.
That's exactly my drive. I know that there's not just me and you. There's millions and millions, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
With all this fucking pressure, man. You can now bully a motherfucker on your phone. Mm-hmm. Back in our day it was face to face. You can do everything over your phone. The pressures of trying to keep up with everything is at an all-time high. And our mindsets are at an all-time low. We are the weakest we've been mentally ever since the beginning of time. And it's even harder. So it's harder with a weaker mind. So all I want to do, my whole drive is about, I have a really good way of visualizing people suffering. Because a lot of people do it. We have two sides of us. Mm-hmm. We have one side that is that happy-go-lucky side, that nothing's wrong and everything is good. But we have that side at home when no one's around, that's depressed and miserable and we're not good enough. Yeah. And whatever happened to you is real. So that's my drive. I want to make sure that I give people as much power as I can. So when they get up every fucking morning, they know that, hey, I have the ability to not only survive in this world, but thrive in this world just by the mere fact of hearing about my story. Yeah. So if I can help out people that way and make you a better human being, that's all it's about, period. Yeah. Because I don't want anybody suffering the way I suffered.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I don't feel like working out, and I see your videos where you're running shirtless, right? And you're giving that message, and I'm like, man, and it inspires me to like post another message like of what I'm doing. But have you ever felt like quitting? Like but you've never quit though. Like when you got out of the military, right? Like most people that get out of the military, they end up having a really hard life outside of the military, right? How did you come out of the military and not quit and did the opposite? You just went all in and said, you know what, I'm gonna start this business and I'm gonna go all in with that. Like, how'd you do that?
Well, a lot of people, what they do is they have these finish lines. And I have a saying that says, I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. So when I was younger, mm-hmm. I didn't have any goals. And it's not really so much about goals, it's just a fucking to-do list. Yeah. A to-do list. And as a human being, if you don't have a to-do list, you're going to sit back and just fade away. It's like a lot of people who are in the military, who are in business, who are whatever, they say, hey, I want to do 20 years and I'm going to retire. Okay, what's next? So I have a what's next list. So then I never sit idle. I never sit idle. There's never one time in my life where I'm sitting back with free time and like just enjoying the sun. I made it. Yeah. I've arrived. No, I've never arrived. And a lot of people say, are you happy? Because I'm so driven that it almost makes people who are weaker in the mind think, my God, you must not be happy. That's a weaker person's way of saying, you've overachieved, David Goggins, and you're making me feel like shit.
Yeah.
So if I'm making you feel like shit, sorry about that.
No,
if I'm making you feel like shit, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
If you ask me if I'm happy, I'm doing my job. Because when I was a weak person, these are some of the things I would ask a very driven person, because I didn't understand what the fuck they were doing. Because they were so driven that my mind was so weak that I was like, they must not be happy.
Yeah.
I would find a way to put a title like they're crazy or they're not fulfilled or they're empty, because I didn't have what they had.
Yeah.
So basically, if I get these questions, I know I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm making you feel a certain way.
So you stay busy all the time?
All the time.
Like even Sundays?
So even though the good Lord rests,
Yeah.
He didn't tell me to.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me to rest.
Yeah.
I'm a big faith believer, even though I cuss
Yeah.
a fucking lot. I'm a big faith believer, but God didn't tell me to rest.
Yeah. Do you have a special morning routine, or do you have? Are you big on routines? The work ethic. Let's like a little bit about work ethic. I wanted to go over that. Like, you seem like the hardest working guy out there. Like, I can relate to you about with that.
Well, I'm the hardest working guy that doesn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't take any days off as far as working out. What I realized growing up is you have to build your armor.
Yeah.
Your armor. Your first thing in the morning time is you have to build your confidence. And every day you're constantly gaining and losing confidence. You're never staying the same. So how you build your confidence is, if you like what you see in that mirror, that's how you start your day off. If you wake up and you look fat, you look out of shape, you're not, you don't feel good, which is, or you don't feel good inside. So my whole big thing is get up and work out. Shed some calories. Get the adrenals going. Get the mind going. Get all that going. Every day I run. Every day I work out. And every day I stretch. So I spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day working out. I'm constantly thinking about my life.
Yeah.
Raw things about my life, because I want to share these things with people. I'm constantly, and see, I don't post a lot. I don't post, see, like most people post just to post. So my daily routine is like, I don't get up and start just posting stuff 3 and 4 times a day.
Yeah.
I post when something is meaningful, because I want people to get something out of it. I don't want to just be on social media and say, hey, I'm posting, let me get more followers, tag someone, hashtag this bullshit, hashtag that bullshit. No, this is a message about you. So every day I'm running, every day I'm working, I'm thinking about, do I have anything that I can share with people today that's powerful? And I'm constantly writing books. So I have one book out right now. I have my second book coming out, but I'm not going to have it coming out anytime soon, because I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So my whole thing about life is putting all your energy into one thing. So my routines are always about synergy, focused, hyper-focused. It's always about mind, because I know once your mind gets away from you, you've lost.
When you're working out and you're going on your runs and all that, are you? You think that's the best times you think? Like, is that when you're thinking about your ideas to write and all that?
Yes. So basically, when I go out to run, I get all my ideas. All my ideas come from when the blood pressure and the intensity is high.
Yeah.
Because that puts me back in the dungeon.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 300 pounds. My most inspirational time is when I was 300 pounds and I was trying to lose weight. And I was having all these self-talks, trying to find strength all over my brain. How the fuck am I going to do this? How the fuck?
Yeah.
So you start to have these different mantras. Like almost every 3 or 4 seconds, a different mantra comes up. And just there's a lot of power in that from being that underdog mentality.
Yeah.
And whenever I go out to work out, it's not like I'm David Goggins now, 44, I've achieved a lot. Every time I go out to work out, I'm that 300-pound guy.
Got it.
Spraying for fucking cockroaches. Nothing. Because if you think that way, you can only achieve the best.
Yeah.
If you've arrived and you go out there, I don't need to be out here doing this.
So that keeps you driven. That keeps you pushing yourself.
Right.
Do you have, every time you work out, do you try to beat your best? Do you or do you?
No, because mostly now for me, it's about going the distance.
Yeah.
If I go out there every day trying to beat myself,
Yeah.
that's going to fatigue me.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I know that there's not many people doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yeah. Now, you talked about when you were 300 pounds. When you, most people that lose that much weight, or everybody, their bodies are not the same.
Right.
Like you lost, and especially in 3 months, you lost 100 pounds in 3 months.
Right.
And you don't, like, you are like cut. You don't have like stretch marks and all that stuff. Like how?
Well, I have them here, as you see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, and you see here, but basically what I did was I had this.
But that's 100 pounds in 3 months,
Right,
though. Like,
right.
like most people lose 30 pounds and they have a bunch of marks
fat,
everywhere.
right.
Yeah, and their chest is like falling down and stuff.
Right.
Like, how'd you do that? Is there a secret?
There is a secret, and I hate to even divulge it, but I'll give you a little piece of it. It's a little piece of it. I developed a psychotic weight routine.
Mm-hmm.
So most people who want to lose weight, they go into this serious cardiovascular, just dropping calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, that helps you lose weight. But what happens is, man, you have this loose skin all over your body.
Yeah.
So I invented this routine. It was called like anywhere from the 100 to 500 routine. So I pick a light weight and I go in there and I smoke out that, like, so let's say it's bench press. Let's say I can do the bar 100 times without stopping. You want to pick something that you can do over 100 times without stopping. And if you do stop, you stop in the rest. So your rest position is the up position. You don't rest it, like rack it. You don't rack it. You rest up. And by you resting up, your muscles are still working. And you can only rest for 10 seconds until you get 100 reps.
Yeah.
And what that does, what it did for me, I kind of invented this on my own. It literally was burning so much muscle. Like my muscle was just getting fatigued, the lactic acid. And it kind of kept that muscle nice and tight.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me out a lot.
Because you have the record of most pull-ups, right?
Right. I did 4,030 in 17 hours.
4,030 in 17 hours?
Right.
Did you get injured after that?
So it took me 3 times. So
Yeah.
the first 2 times I got injured. The third time I finally figured a lot of things out and adapted to the situation. My body adapted to the amount of stress and pain I was going to be under.
Yeah.
And I got it.
Now the David Goggins of today, do you have any fears whatsoever? Like needles or heights or anything like that?
You know what? I do have fears. It's not needles, it's not heights. I'm a little bit timid about heights, but my biggest thing is I always face them.
Yeah.
So I guess my biggest fear is I really don't have any big fears because I know that I'm going to attack it.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. And I know one thing that we spoke about it before camera, that you're to most of the world, you're super clean. Like you don't do you never done drugs.
No.
You never had alcohol. Well, you never had alcohol. You don't drink alcohol.
No, I've tasted alcohol, but
Yeah.
no, I've never. I'm not a drinker.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think that is due probably to your father that used to drink a lot?
It's probably due to him, but it's also due to at a young age I realized that I had a very weak mind.
Yeah.
A very weak mind, and I want nothing to interfere with my own thought process.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people before they go on stage, they get a little bit tipsy, get a little buzz,
Yeah.
maybe smoke a little something, do a little something.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that every single thing I feel is real.
Got it.
I want no masking.
Yeah.
I want nothing to mask my ability to feel fear, to overcome fear, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people who drink and do these different things are trying to hide. Some people just do it. For me, I think of it as almost like a masking agent. So then your mind doesn't have to work as hard. And that means I'm losing.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we love drinking. And we used to go out, like Sunday was our mimosa day, like brunch day.
Right.
And then we would go to dinner and we would just drink for the heck of it.
Right.
And we lost it all. We had our battles. Like the last 6 years have been a battle. This year has been the best year ever in our lives. And it got to the point where I said, you know what? How can I improve?
Right.
And I'm not an alcoholic to anything close to that, but we did drink dinners and brunches and that kind of stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I said, you know what? How can I get better? And I said, I'm just gonna stop the drinking. So I said, no more liquor. So I said, no more. I'm gonna go 30 days no liquor. I've never gone 30 days no liquor since I was like 19 when I started. So and she was telling me, you can't do it. You can't do it. So I said, I'm going to do it just to prove something to myself.
Right.
So I went and I committed to 30 days and I set these goals. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a 6-pack. I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm going to do this. And I did it. And then I'm like, wow. And then I had a couple of drinks after that and I had the hangover and it just so many cons.
Right.
And I said, it's not worth it. Like I like the no drinking, I like the high of being productive better.
Right.
It saved me like 6-7 hours a week. Just because when you get a drink, you want that extra drink, you stay longer at the bar.
Right.
Then it takes you a couple hours to get started the next day. So I said, what if I don't do it? And just my business went like that. And then I did 2 days again where I went out and pigged out, ate pizza and all that stuff and drank. And then I went another 40 days without drinking. And then my life just started getting much, much, much better. And then that's why I always ask people that are powerful that I really look up to, like, how's your diet? How's your morning routine and that kind of stuff?
Right.
But now David, your business, like now you're obviously I see you all over the place with interviews, inspiring people, changing lives. Like can you share a little bit about your business? Like what's your business like? What do you do?
So the whole business is about changing lives. That's all it's about. It's about bettering people, whether you're the top person in NFL, NBA, all the way to the person who is just some high school dropout.
Yeah.
So there is no like specific person I'm trying to target.
Yeah.
I'm targeting everybody. So my business is basically the best business in the world. It's a business of improving people.
Yeah.
So once you improve people, those people then go on to be doctors, lawyers, dentists, basketball, football, baseball, millionaires, billionaires. Those people now change the world. So I'm trying to get you at a young age.
Yeah.
So if I had a special time to get you, I want to get you when you're in junior high, high school, because in high school, people think that, my God, this is my whole life. High school is everything. These kids are going to be with me for the rest of my life. These are, little do you fucking know, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm trying to get people so then when our world needs more leaders, I'm kind of helping those people out. So I'm trying to inspire people to become the next best leaders.
Yeah.
Because this world needs that right now.
You feel you're connected more with kids, younger adults, because that's kind of when you grew up, you had tough times, and you want to help them so that they can be difference makers as well?
You know what's funny? A lot of my followers are millennials.
Yeah.
But I connect more with people who are our age.
Okay.
Between 30s to 50s.
Yeah.
Because the millennials, even though that's my big audience, their mindsets are very different than ours.
Yeah.
A lot of people our age can relate to this tough
work ethic.
Yes, old school mindset. So when I tell people, hey, stop listening to music for a little bit, put your fucking phone down, put the computer down, really focus. The most powerful weapon is your brain. It relates to them. You know, they're like, oh man, yeah. You know, we weren't raised on this shit. They can kind of go back in the dungeon, but these millennials grew up with all this technology.
Yeah.
And all this noise. It's so fucking noisy out here that they can't hear themselves think.
Yeah.
So the people who really get the most bang out of my message, even though millennials follow me the most, are people who are from 30s to 50s, because they're like, you know what, man? Yeah, I fucking get that.
Yeah.
I remember back when I was a better human being before I started being dependent on my phone and dependent on this and dependent on that. And literally, you can't even have a conversation with somebody nowadays because their minds are so out of it.
Or they're checking the Instagram.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you, like, hey, yeah, So they're like looking at you and their phone, and they're here. And then as you're having a serious conversation, an enlightening conversation, they then come out of nowhere and say, hey, did you hear about Trump? You're like, what the fuck is your problem, man? You can't hold a fucking attention span for longer than 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That's why you're not successful.
Yeah.
It takes a lot longer than 15 seconds to be focused on becoming rich, fucking becoming a better person, becoming smarter, becoming more athletic, losing weight. It takes time. Your mind needs to be focused on that fucking task.
And I made the millennium, what do you call it? The millennial category by like 1 year or so.
Right.
So I'm kind of like the next one, and I was just stuck in it. But I definitely not. I don't think like a millennial.
Right.
But I know a lot of millennials. My biggest knock on them is that most of them are thinking that they're gonna create this $1 million idea.
Oh, yeah.
And work less and make more. And I didn't grow up like that. I know you didn't grow up like that. Like, what do you think? There's something to it that is just making all the millennials like that? Do you think it's technology?
It's technology, because you know what? Basically, I don't really blame them. That's the world that they grew up in.
Yeah.
So that's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
They're seeing a lot of kids who are like 25, 26, 27, 28 who are making these big dollar numbers, man, from like inventing something or coming up with some new fucking app or whatever, man, making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they want to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
But they don't realize only 1%, less than 1% are going to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You got to go back to old school, which is there's no fucking secret.
Yeah.
It's just hard fucking work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate to say it, man. Everybody goes, what is your secret, man? What's your secret about business? What's your secret about this? What's your secret about that? You don't want the fucking answer. The answer is, you see these fucking hands?
Hard work.
Hard fucking work, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to voodoo some shit. I'm not a magician. It's not magic. It's literally, you're going to have to wake up.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to sit there and say, fuck, today's going to suck. And then when that day is over, you're going to wake up again and say, fuck.
Yeah.
The next day is going to suck.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your life.
Yeah.
Unless you're this guy who sits back and says, oh, I have this great idea. And it happens to work.
Yeah.
And you could be some lazy fat ass that sits back and makes millions of dollars off of some idea.
Yeah.
But the majority of it, just wake up every day.
Yeah.
Punch that mental time clock and say, this is going to suck.
Yeah. I think the combination of hard work with technology is
Right.
going to be like the
game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer.
But the problem is that most of them they just want to do the technology part,
Right.
but not the hard work.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
That's the
but,
fun part.
But okay, David, really appreciate your time. I want to ask you one more thing before we end this.
Okay.
About yoga.
Okay.
I almost forgot about it. My wife, she loves yoga, like when she's not pregnant, because the last couple of years she's been sticking to being pregnant. But yoga, she always tries me to do yoga, and as I don't know if it's a manly thing, but I like going to the gym.
Right.
And I like doing my weights.
Right.
And then I'll do sprints for like 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
I do like the running because those sprints get my heart going.
Right.
And I get ideas, and I feel like if I don't work out, I don't feel like I started my day right. I'm not the same person if I don't work out.
Right.
But I always find myself walking like I'm not flexible at all. Like,
Right.
and I find myself walking like one of those. even though I'm not a meathead,
Right.
like those big bulky guys.
Right.
I don't take roids. I don't take any of that stuff. I just like the natural, because I want to feel, like you say, I want to feel myself all the time. I don't want to be altered.
Right.
But I walk like my arms can stretch. and you said that's one of your biggest keys to success, right?
Right.
Stretching, yoga. And you do 2 hours of stretching before going to sleep.
Right. Every night.
Like what's the whole fuzz about stretching?
You
yoga?
know what? I was one of those guys just like you. I didn't believe in it. I was like, this is bull.
Like a girl thing?
Yeah. This is, I used to be a meathead.
Yeah.
And I wanted to feel like I wasn't flexible. because that means I was nice and yoked.
Yeah.
You know, when you're flexible, you know, you don't feel as yoked. So, but what happened was over a period of time from my life as a child and growing up, my body was so tight. And when your body's tight, it gives your mind the illusion that you're under stress. So when your mind has the illusion it's under stress, it then starts to work like it's in stress mode.
Yeah.
Therefore, igniting all these different, you know, endocrine systems like your adrenal glands and whatnot, tricking you to say, oh, fight or flight, we're in it right now because you're so tight. So I started stretching out years ago, and I was wound so tight that this interview that we have right now would be very different.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
It would be a guy almost looking at you saying, we need to get the fuck off this interview, man, because I'm fucking like about to go crazy because this is too much time sitting in patience.
Yeah.
So basically, as I started stretching out, I started loosening up this muscle called your psoas muscle. And that psoas muscle, a lot of people, if you Google it, it's almost like the soul of your body, the psoas muscle. So it almost gives your body and your mind permission to relax. And there's no growth in a stressed mind. The growth comes in a relaxed mind because therefore the thoughts really flood in.
Yeah.
And so for me, I become more inspired just by simply stretching. And only that, I'm in the best shape of my life because all those tight muscles that were allowing my, you know, they weren't allowing me to run properly. Everything was bound up. So now my gait is longer. You know, even in the gym, I'm stronger because now I'm not all bound up. Everything is opened up to the point where my muscles work freely.
Yeah.
And like a kid, if you ever see a kid run, a kid's not tight. A kid hasn't had stress yet. So they're running very effortlessly. Mm-hmm. And so that's how you want your body to move, very effortlessly, which means your body is flowing like water. So what happens when your body flows like water, your mind does the same thing.
Wow.
So your thoughts, so it's mostly, it was about my body getting better. But what I found was, look, before you go on stage, you're relaxed, you're in control. You're also, you know the truth. Because when your adrenal glands are firing off, they send all these different signals.
Yeah.
Fight or flight, almost like nervous reactions. When you're able to get the truth and you're able to get centered from stretching out, you're able to control the dialogue versus your mind saying, oh my God, we got to go. We're rushed. We're rushed. We're not fucking rushed. We're in control. We own the situation. And so what yoga and stretching has done for me is allowed me to own myself and own my mind versus the world. Like we're in New York City right now. Mm-hmm. You open that fucking window, you're going to hear honks, people. You're going to hear like, oh my God, we got to run.
Yeah.
It's like panic. You're able to walk through New York City saying, okay, hey man, I'm in control. And when you're in control, there's no bullying. There's no this, there's no that. It's you and what you've done in the truth.
Yeah. So you do workouts every day. You do weights, you run, and then you do yoga every day.
That's right.
Wow.
Every day.
Awesome. So I'm going to start yoga just because of you.
Hey, trust me, you'll get something out of it.
It'll make me a little bit smarter. And
100%. I don't know if it make you smarter, but it'll definitely open your mind up.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Awesome, David. So I'm really excited to have you at Driven event this year, September 14th, and also where's your favorite place for people to follow you and see all your cool stuff?
So for me, it's basically Instagram is probably the best. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's at David Goggins.
At David Goggins.
Yep, at David Goggins. That's it.
Awesome, brother. Well,
hey,
appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.